Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Rambles, episode 12, episode 6 of this new series. And we are back. It's another Friday. I can't believe it is Friday already. Hello, I hope you are all well. It's been an interesting week, hasn't it? I've found it's been a really long week for everyone. And of course, again, all my thoughts in prayers and everything go to everyone that's been affected by it. All the bad news that's happened this week. But we are your much needed tonic, and we are going to be celebrating all to do with Panto. And the pinnacle of a Panto has to be the Panto Dame. And we've got 3 of the top brass Panto Dames, possibly in the country, possibly the world. Who knows? I can't think of a better 3 to beat. Let's just put it this way. So let's introduce our 3 leading ladies. We have got the lovely Si Foster. Hello, Si.
Hello, leading ladies.
We've got Morgan Brind. Hello, Morgan.
Hello. Hiya.
And we have got the lovely Malcolm Lord. Hello.
Hello.
How are we all doing, gentlemen? Are we all well?
We're all well. Yes.
Yeah. Nervous, but yeah.
You've got nothing to be worried about. We are going to say goodbye to Malcolm and Si very briefly. We're going to start off with Morgan. So, bye-bye, Si. Don't go anywhere, Malcolm.
Don't leave me. Oh, yeah.
How are you doing, Morgan?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm liking the purple. Is it purple or is it blue? Are we going for matching?
It's sort of blue. What I've gone with a colour which will hide my under-moob sweat on what is possibly the hottest day in history. If that's not too grim.
I'd have a costume change before we went on because literally I was in buckets. I shouldn't have gone out for a walk. It's that hot. First of all, loving the wall.
Thank you. Yeah, this was lockdown. Having had posters stuffed under a bed for the last decade, I finally shamed myself into putting them up with no excuse not to.
Well, but no game, no shame. I guess that's the saying that I've just made up on the spot. So,
it's catchy. Yeah,
I'll take that. If you've got any questions at any point, feel free to put them on the comments and we will get to them at a suitable point, just to point that out there. So let's start at the very beginning, Morgan. How did we start in the business of show?
I was lucky that the theatre I was at youth theatre with was the then Derby Playhouse, now Derby Theatre, was kind of a really brilliant, very open regional theatre, which kind of was really proactive in its training. And then after that, went to Bristol Old Vic, did my 3 years there, and sort of left and had a kind of 2 years of just sort of being a jobbing actor. And then Alan, who I run Little Wolf, and I did possibly the worst panto in humanity, both just working as actors. I won't say where because it's still going, but it was thoroughly miserable. And we sat there in the dressing room, as I'm sure every panto actor has done, and gone, we could do better. This is really lazy. It's not funny. Why are we here? And so off the back of that, we kind of thought, well, let's give it a go. We found out that venue was going to have a little break next year. So we put ourselves forward stupidly. We were early 20s. And they very kindly said, yeah, go for it. As long as you don't lose us as much money as the last people did. And we took it from there. And so we've kind of been doing that ever since, really. And we've kind of added venues as we've gone. And it's just sort of grown, really.
And you, when I was asking for people for their descriptions of what they class themselves as, you've got a literal long list of them. So you've got, was it actor? Well, that's you coming from you.
Well, yeah, it just goes to prove I will do anything to save money. For various shows, I work as a writer, designer, director, and dame. So this year I was due to be working across 6 shows in various. So I was going to design 6, write 3, direct 1, and dame in 1. And obviously it won't pan out that way. But I like the variety, certainly.
So what is it about doing all these different things that you really like, as opposed to doing one sort of, like, just stick that to acting or writing?
I don't know, it's probably down to being an only child and a show off, really. But I always enjoyed art. I always had an interest in kind of the technical side of theatre as well, and I suppose really that's why I've gravitated towards panto, because I would say a large chunk of what makes panto is how it looks, the spectacle, the kind of, the exaggerated costumes, the gorgeous sets. And actually, when you're writing a show, it's quite nice to be able to do that cohesively. So kind of one informs the other, and you can kind of go, oh, that would be a fun idea. Oh, but I could then do that. And you sort of, I suppose it's as a form of mental illness. I have that chat in my head with two different departments. And then I go into work and say, Alan, it's going to be too much money, but let's do it. Come on, it'll be fun. And he's very supportive that way.
The words that every producer loves to hate. It's going to cost too much money. So the Dame, where did we start getting that idea that you wanted to go along the route of Panto Dame?
Well, even leaving drama school at 20, I sort of had the body of a middle-aged woman. And when you're in your 20s trying to kind of, put yourself forward as leading man, looking like that, it ain't going to happen. So I kind of thought, right, where can I actually show off? Where do big guys get their break? And Dame is really that. It's, I would say, one of the few kind of shows where your character actor gets to essentially become leading man and or lady, and you get the bulk of the comedy and the bulk of the kind of the play with the audience, and that's who'd want to pass that up, really.
That is true. So where did you get your inspiration from?
I suppose inadvertently the dames I saw growing up. So when I was going to Panto at Derby, it was Ian Good, who I think is still daming and still fantastic. And I suppose trips to Nottingham with Kenneth Allen Taylor and people like that. I sort of I feel a little bit like kind of the great heyday had maybe gone by the time I saw possibly Danny LaRue's last Panto at Nottingham, I think it was. And as great as he was, I'm sure, 20 years earlier, he would have been kind of in a different league. There's, I didn't get to see John Inman and people like that. But you kind of look at videos online, and I just like the variety of it, really. But I also, like any dame, I suppose, a chunk of it is your mum, isn't it?
Yeah, that is true. And how do you think your Dame has evolved over the years you've been doing this? How long have you been playing Dame for?
11, 12 years, something like that. Yeah. But I'm frighteningly young, so it's.
And so, how has that evolved over time? Like, what sort of things have you had to tweak as you've gone on?
I suppose where I've been looking, I've kind of done stints in places. So, we did Berwick upon Tweed for 5 years, and then I was in Loughborough for 4, and now Derby for this would be the 4th year. So actually having an audience that kind of knows you, that has that rapport with you, means that you can be a little bit bolder. You can play with them a little bit more. They'll come with you. They're warmer the moment you walk out anyway. So I think, when I first started dating, I was nervous and got to get through the material and be funny and now I think, 10 years later, I've learned that you can take that a minute and do the look and move on. And that's just as good as hammering everything.
Yeah. And I think also it depends on what area you're in. Each sort of venue has their own sense of humour, has their own sort of sense of. So I'm guessing a lot of the audiences feed off that.
Yeah. So I mean, I always like to have a messy slosh scene because I think an audience likes that. I know it's difficult with kind of the rehearsal periods that we have, but that's one of those things that I sort of, for good or ill, think that a panto should have. And I do like kind of panto to have. So when I'm writing, for example, try and put numerous types of humour in there. So there's enough stuff for kids, but also without it getting smutty or adult. There's clever stuff for the grown-ups that they can kind of feel like they're getting just as much out of it as their kids.
Yeah. And finally, before we sort of move on to Si and Malcolm, as we move on, how would you if you describe your dame? I'm going to be generous and give you 5 words to describe your dame. What would be your 5 words that you would just use to describe your dame?
Oh, yeah. No, that's really difficult.
That's why I've gone with 5. I thought 3 would be too hard.
For me, she's your aunt after a drink, if that makes any sort of sense. So she's just ever so slightly had the filter off. She's not your mum, so she can be a little bit more kind of open and honest. But yeah, that's sort of how I kind of see it. I don't know what words that breaks down into. I'm very sorry.
We got the gist of all of that, I guess. There, Morgan, it's been brilliant talking to you. Don't go anywhere because we will be coming back to you. But we're going to break on. Yes, you can enjoy your wall. You can enjoy the wall.
I'll go to the naughty corner. Yeah.
To the naughty corner. I'm going to bring Si on next. Hello, Si. Who's got a slightly more beige wall, but I do quite like. Is it 1970? What year is that?
1975. It's not 1957. It's 1975. The year I was born. Got like everything that happened the year I was born. I don't look at. But there you go.
So, Si Foster, or Si Twanky Foster, as you very graciously called yourself.
Yeah, which is what most people know me as. Yeah, Twanky Foster.
So, how did you start off in the business show then, Mr. Foster?
In the business, in general, it first started kind of like with family, like everybody showing off and blah blah blah. But then it manifested into a drama teacher putting me forward for a few auditions, Corrie, blah blah blah, which was always on the hush because she wasn't allowed. So yeah, I went to a Corrie audition, and then she put me forward for local Amdram, and to be honest, Amdram, that's where I learnt my craft. And then when it came to pro, fast forward X amount of years, it was just a one-off. It was by fluke, to be honest. I'd finished a teaching job. I keep doing this with my arm, I'm sorry.
It's the mannerisms, isn't it?
Yeah. I finished a teaching job, and I was moving back up to the Northwest. And the day before I was moving up, I got a phone call saying, there's an advert for a pantomime dame at the local theatre. Do you want to go for it? I was like, not auditioned in years, to be honest. But I went for it, and that's how I got it. And it's kind of gone, flew from there, to be honest.
And you've gone through, I know you've done St. Helens for quite a few years. You've done quite a few, not just Christmas pantos, but half term, Easter.
Oh yeah, it's gone through. Well, it first started off with Christmas pantos, although the company Regal Entertainments had done Easter pantos before then, but then it transpired into Easter, October, Christmas, and then we went for summer, and then we went to February. So yeah, it's kind of like for 10 years, it's kind of like boom, 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 boom. It's progressed. So over 10 years at that theatre and that company alone, I'd say I've done about 31 in 10 years. So yeah, it's quite. I've shot myself there. Yeah, it's quite a lot. Yeah,
and that is a long stint to do 10 years in any place.
Yeah, it's my hometown. So I don't have to find digs. I can wake up at 5 to 9. I can be in the dressing room for 10 past 9. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's my hometown, and I've got a bit of a following in the hometown, but time to branch out and yeah.
So when you first saw that advert for Panto Dame, what was going through your head? Did you ever think of doing Panto Dame?
Oh, no. I was a primary teacher in Grantham, Maggie Thatcher's old school.
Wow.
She wasn't a teacher there. She was a student there. Not when I was, but there you go. It was time to move back to the Northwest to see my family because I was traveling there every weekend. So I handed in my notice.
Oh, we've lost you. We've lost you. We've lost your sound. We've lost your sound.
Is that any better?
There we are, yay!
Sorry, I tapped something. I don't know what. No, so yeah, I was moving up on the Sunday. I got a phone call off a dresser who was at the Panto previously for the X amount of years, Betty Avery, from Sherard's, saying, "Listen, I used to do Amdram with you. I've heard you back in the Northwest looking," and it was basically on hearsay, not thinking I'd get it. Turned up the following day, kind of rehearsed a monologue. I had to sing without music, and I'm not a singer anyway. Not thinking I'd get it. I think, oh yeah, nice to see you, move on. But as soon as I came off the stage, he went, yeah, we'll have you for Christmas. I was like, what? So it was all by fluke, to be honest, really by fluke, and that was with Jane Joseph and Chantel Nolan. Yeah.
And I asked Morgan this question: how has your Dame evolved? Because obviously I have seen some of the posters from when you've been doing Panto at St. Helens. You've not done just Dame.
No, I've done The Lion and the Wizard of Oz. I've done other stuff. How's the Dame evolved? Well, the core of her, and this is where I sound arty-farty, the core of her is my aunties, my mum, my nan's sisters. It's all about northern humour with me. Well, I'll rewind. The first pantomime dame I saw was John Inman. And whoa, that's kind of like, I didn't watch anybody else on stage. When it was Jack, I didn't watch Jack. When it was whatever, I watched John. And I knew John from Are You Being Served? But to me, the comedy element there, it was kind of like, that's what I like. That is what I like. And then I saw Les Dawson as Ada and Sissy, and it was the northern humour, and that's the core for me. So, and how it's progressed, it's got more, not adults, but it's kind of like a nod to the audience. And as long as I involve everybody, from the kids to the adults, I can go home happy and have a kebab.
So doing that makeup for the first time, what was that like? Did you have any idea what you were doing?
For the first year, I didn't do my makeup. It was Betty Avery who put me forward, who was a dresser for the show. And she made me kind of like rosy cheeks, big eyes, small lips. So I was more feminine. But as I've gone on, it's more, I'd say more Les Dawson more than anything. It's kind of like, as long as the audience, people who know I'm a man in a frock, not a clown, but I can pass. I'm not feminine. I'm not a drag queen, but my kind of thing during the panto is somebody knocks the wig off and all the kids laugh, and that's when I think I need to let the kids know I'm a man. So yeah mine's more comedic rather than looking like a drag queen.
Yeah. Brilliant. I think that's a brilliant sort of ending point to end on with you for now. So don't go anywhere. And speaking of John Inman, we have a picture on the wall of Mr. Malcolm Lord's.
Oh,
hello.
Hello. Excuse me. Have you got these in an 8, please? Wide fitting. Yes. I've got the right. I just need the left one. Oh, sorry. Hello. Hello. All right.
Speaking of John Inman, there is John Inman on the wall.
There he is. He's there behind me. Yes.
He's behind.
Couple of him there.
There we go. Malcolm, hello, the legendary Malcolm Lord. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yes, it's a bit warm, so I'm getting a bit. I'll just have another sip of gin and we'll be all right. There we go. I'm with you.
So, the question I'm going to start asking: how did you get started in the Visa show?
How did I get started? Well, school plays, Amdram. And somebody there stupidly suggested I should go to drama school. So I went off to Mount View. The year after Simon was born, 1976. Thank you, Simon. So trained as a classical actor for 3 years and ended up playing a teddy bear on telly. So in Rainbow. And that, from doing that, led me into doing pantomime, because Bungle George and Zippy were in panto, and my first panto, big professional panto, was with John Inman as Dame. So I started with someone, right up there, and then went off and did various other pantos, and then worked with John again in 1999. And then I got a phone call one day from my agent, who was also John's agent, saying that John's not very well and he thinks you ought to go on for him. And this was at Cliff's Pavilion in Southend. And it was between Christmas and New Year, the busiest time in panto. So sort of with an hour's notice, got to the
we lost
frocks
Mark?
and stuff, and you're waiting in the wings, and then they make the announcement to the audience. Oh no, I'm still here.
You're back.
Hello,
you're fine.
Hello. So standing in the wings, and then they announce at this performance, the part of due to illness, John Inman will not be appearing, and you get and you think, oh no, they hate me already. But I went on and I just did what John did and got away with it for a couple of days. John then came back, and from then on, Kudos kept me with John, just in case he was ill again. And then it was 2004, bless him, when we were doing Richmond, that he was taken ill in rehearsals. And so I did the whole run, and I've been daming ever since.
And so what was that process like of having to jump in for John?
Oh, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. As I say, because he was so well known and well loved, and you're just thinking, I can't fill these shoes. I can't fill these shoes. But fortunately, I'm a wing watcher. I stand in the wings and watch what everybody else is doing, and I was able to sort of just do what he did, and got away with it. Funnily enough, when I was on for him in Richmond in 2004, mail used to arrive, so I used to call into his house and drop it off for him every now and again. And they didn't make an announcement in Richmond, but they had some signs subtly around the theatre saying that John wasn't there. And he opened this one card and he said, I've been waiting for this one. Dear Mr. Inman, we came to see your pantomime, and we just had to write to say how marvellous we thought you were, because it wasn't him, it was me. So he just threw it at the back of the fire. Bless him.
And so when establishing your Dame, then what was there much that you picked from John, and how did you evolve from that?
I think so. I mean, I can't be him or use his catchphrases, but I did pinch his sort of timing, and he was a great one for leaving a pause and just letting something, let the titter spread, or a look. And like,
have we lost you again, or was it me?
Things, just take your sit back on it, and have fun, enjoy it. Sorry?
I think there's an issue with your connection. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's you. I'm trying to think. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Brilliant. I think we've got it back. Please continue the story.
I don't know where I was.
We'll talk about your mannerisms and stuff.
Oh right, yes. But it has evolved a bit more now. I think I've a bit more sort of boisterous. I always try to play. Well, you were asking the others about what they do, but a bit of sauciness, lots of motherly stuff. I always try to sort of play the part with truth, really. Forget the fact that you're a man in a frock. Just play that part. You are Jack's mother. You are Aladdin's mother, or whatever. Play it absolutely truthfully, and a bit of sauciness as well.
Yeah. And since then, you've moved on to do panto across the country, and more recently, you've been with the lovely Cannon and Ball.
Lovely to Bobby and Tommy. Yes, we're due to do our 5th together in Crewe. Who knows? Sleeping Beauty in Crewe, which I haven't done before. I haven't done Sleeping Beauty before. I'm playing the Queen, so that will be a little different, I think. Not so much of a dame role, so we'll wait and see what that turns out to be like.
And then last year, you ditched us all in the UK and went to Australia.
Well, I didn't ditch you, because Australian Panto is in our summer, which is their winter. So I went over in June to do their Panto in July. And that, again, you see, it's just, my whole career's been an accident. I was in crew, and little did I know that the producers of the Panto in Australia, they were putting on Jack and the Beanstalk, and we had this 3D giant kitchen scene, and they wanted to see that, to see how that would work in Australia. So they came along to see that and decided they'd book me at the same time. So that was lucky. So I got an all expenses trip to Australia, and so did an extra Panto there last year.
And what was it like to work over there? How did they take the humour? Because obviously Panto isn't part of their forte. It isn't part of their tradition, apart from the expats.
The expats love it, of course, and the Aussies, they're up for it. They really are. And once you've got them, once they know the rules, they love to play along. And it was great. It was really, the humour is there. They don't like smut. Didn't like any smut, really. Not that there was a lot there, but it was great fun. And the Australians cast, the rest of the cast were Australian as well. They were very welcoming and very lovely.
And I saw some of the press shots. It looked like a spectacular show. It looked like something that would be an equivalent to a Kudos. Oh
yes, definitely of that standard. It's the State Theatre in Sydney, so it's their like big, beautiful old theatre, stunning, bit like the Palladium, absolutely lovely. So hopefully I'll go back again.
Well, fingers crossed. Last question for you. How do you think Panto's changed since you started doing it? Do you think there's been much change? Do you think...
things go around and come around, and people go, oh, what's that sports person doing in it? Or what's this reality? But it's always been that way. If you look back to the turn of the century, a famous boxer or somebody would be in, and it should move. It should keep moving and changing. And the technical things, of course, now with all the 3D and flying and are absolutely wonderful. I hope that sometimes that maybe the effects, you don't want them to detract too much from the actual heart of the show. But I mean, basically, you're putting on Les Mis in 2 weeks when you do a panto.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. They have like 2 months to rehearse, and we get 2 weeks. But it's great fun, and it'll be very sad if most pantos don't go ahead this year. But we'll be back bigger and better next year.
Yeah, we will be back. And speaking of people that are back, we're going to bring back Morgan, who's been sitting very, very graciously there. And we've got the lovely side, which is Britney Spears' microphone. And
oh, he's got the moves.
Madonna. I want to start the ball rolling as a sort of general discussion. What is everyone's favourite routine to do in panto? Let's start with Morgan. What's yours?
I quite like baking. I know it's done to death, but I think done well with a few twists and some proper mess. It's rather lovely. But then you've got the volume of the ghost gag for a school show, and that's hard to kind of weigh up against.
Yeah. Let's go with Sai. Sai, what about you?
There's so many, isn't there, with the game? I'd say the who, were, what. Who, what, were sketch. Who lives in the first house? What lives in the second house? I don't know. Lives in the third house.
It's in the third house.
Yeah. So I'd say that one. I mean, last year when I wrote Aladdin, I involved 3 people, not 2. Which was a lot easier for the dame because she's got so many blah blah blah. But yeah, I said the who, the what, and the I don't know sketch.
Yeah. And Malcolm, what about you?
Well, I love a good old ghost gag, but I suppose the favourite routine was like the drill routine. shoulder arms and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Dressed as a Boy Scout and all that.
With an orange.
With an orange, yes.
Right, we need to talk about
Don't talk about the orange.
Sorry.
I'm blushing. I'm blushing.
You've opened it up to the forum now. Here we go.
Oh, wow.
If this is clean, it can be broadcast.
No, it's clean. It's clean. I'll try and do it We used to do this routine with a search party, Boy Scouts, with John as a brownie, and I played this sort of daft lad standing next to him, just gormless. And at one point, I'm going to stand up. At one point, I used to have to put my hands in my trousers and have a route around, sort of thing. And John would then just stop and stare. And of course, and he'd leave me for ages, just wriggling around, getting more and more embarrassing. And then he'd turn to the scout leader and go, "There's movement below." And the scout leader would say, "I know. What's he doing?" And John would say, "I think he's trying to count to 11." And that was it. But then, after several weeks, I got a bit bored, and I thought, I'll get him. And we were doing Cliff's Pavilion at Southend, and so suddenly at the end of it, when he said he's count, I just pulled this crab out of my pocket and said, "I found it." And of course, everyone had a little laugh, and that started this whole thing. Hemorrhoid cream, everything was coming out of my pocket, and it just got worse and worse. And then one day, I decided to produce an orange that was ready peeled. Do you know what I mean? With the peel wrapped around it. So I then pulled out this orange, and all the peel was there. And I'd peeled an orange in my pocket. So I wasn't playing with myself. I was actually peeling an orange. But then that didn't satisfy John, because then one day he suddenly said, "Oh, that looks nice. Eat it." So I thought, right, you bugger, I'll eat it. So it all went in, and it was like... And of course, then the juice spurted out. As it does. And then he's saying things like, "Oh, your juice is all over my shoes." And it grew. Grew over years. And we had these poles. And he threw his pole down on the floor. And of course, it got all sticky with the orange juice. So he's going, "Oh, look at that." So I had a tissue in my pocket. So I gave him and he wiped the stick and gave me the tissue back, so I ate the tissue. And it just went on and on and on and on and on. And it used to take, I'm sure half the audience had left by the time we'd finished, but it was it was good fun. It was good fun. But I'm sure I must be the only person who can peel an orange in his pocket.
Anybody else got any sort of...
We've frozen it again.
No, not compared to peeling an orange in your pocket. No, not really. I mean, like things like that. It's kind of like a joke between both of you, isn't it? But
yeah,
as long as the audience can be involved,
the audience were laughing too. Yeah,
exactly. What I think is a law that you can't do is a private joke where the audience go,
"Yeah, why are they laughing?"
What does that mean? Yeah. What does that
that's
mean?
Awful.
So, I mean, mine is with the Corrie Star. I mean, like I used to come out as Jack's mother. "Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's coming my way." And then there's a bird cheeping, and then you produce a shotgun and you go, "Pooh." But as I've gone, "Pooh," a Corrie Star's got his out and he's swinging it round. Now, to me, that is funny, but you can't let the audience know. And do you know what I mean? So that's the only thing with me.
Morgan, anything to top that off?
Well, I mean, that's some story. No, I quite like the stories that happen around Panto. So, obviously, you end up with your own kind of weird little families created over the season. And I remember one year we were so far away that the cast couldn't kind of get back home for Christmas. So I thought, right, I'll cook everyone Christmas dinner. And being ludicrously overambitious, did a 3-bird roast. And we had everyone round, and I could see that the princess wasn't really enjoying it. And she sort of had this kind of look of concern. I was like, "Oh God, I've ruined Christmas." Right, okay, you don't have to eat it. If you don't like it, it's fine. And she was just getting more and more puzzled. And she was staring at me. I I just don't get it. What? How are they born inside each other? Okay, fine. We're just glad that she learnt her lines. That's fine. And then 2 Christmas ago, we had an incident in tech with a slosh thing that had to sort of climb a ladder, and then the gag was to fall back on the ladder. But in tech, being sort of uber vain, I kind of felt my wig going. And I don't know about the other dames here, but that's a bit of a kind of a no, keep the hair. Yeah. So kept the hair and lost the ladder, and bounced and sort of broke my coccyx on a bit of the set. And just the sort of the text stopped, and then just over the god mic heard okay, that's tea. So you're like, compassion.
We've broken the day.
The theatre.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got another little. Shall I do another little one of John Inman?
Go on.
I just remembered it. We were doing Aladdin, and Abanazar would come on, and he'd got this basket of washing, and he'd open the washing machine door and just chuck the whole basket in. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if some hands came out and took it from you? And he said, oh, good, you've got a set of blacks, have you? So I ended up in the washing machine. And it was at the time the Harry Potter books had first started coming out. And when Abanazar came on, oh, look, it's Ozzy Osbourne or whoever. And he said, oh, what can I say? And I said, there's these new books. Try Lord Voldemort. Oh, look, it's Lord He said, who? I'm going, Lord Voldemort. So, of course, I'm in the washing machine. Abanazar comes on. And he goes, oh, look, it's Lord Voldemort. Nothing. Not a titter. So he said, have you seen my washing machine? He said, it writes jokes and ruins careers.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. Let's talk about the look, about the Dame look, and about where we sort of got our inspiration for the look. Who wants to start? Si, we haven't started with you yet.
What, the actual look of how I do it?
Yeah,
I'd say it's a nod to the greats when I was a kid. There's I've got the John Inman. Are you being served is mine. So I've got the John Inman, the hop. Oh, I'm being served. Do you know what I mean? So I've got the hop when I walk. The Les Dawson with the boob in the mouth. I've got the pontification of Molly Sugden, and I am your this and that. So mine is all nods to the greats, because the kids these days, that is lost on them. But to me, that is timing. That is comedy. So yeah, that's where my look comes from. It's heavy bosomed, man in a frock, a clown, but still looks feminine. Surprisingly, when I walk in heels, I'm feminine. When I'm on stage, but when I'm in the wings walking to my dressing room, you can put a pig through my legs, I tell you. So it's weird. It's all about your stance on stage. As long as the kids think you're a mum and you're feminine and you're lovable, that's all that matters to me. Curves and bumps, that's my thing.
Morgan,
over to somebody else.
Was that to me? Sorry.
Yeah.
I very much agreed with Malcolm's point about kind of finding the truth of the character and using that as kind of the approach. So I sort of like those bits where there's what I would term real acting, and that's probably offensive, but you sort of you want those moments where you kind of really go for the little bit of pathos, and then you can kind of break it. And I suppose in terms of the visual look, looking this way, I'm not going to get away with being draggy and glam. That's just not going to happen.
Sound.
So I kind of like the first thing to be a worker, and limit the glitter early on, and then the kind of the other constructional kind of bigger frocks kick in as you go on. And I guess because I'm designing them, I'm meaner to myself than I would be somebody else. So I've worn things that would make a chiropractor blush, as I'm sure we all have, and regretted it for 73 shows.
Malcolm, I think we've got you back now. Everything all right your end?
Yes, I think I pulled out my earpiece and muted my mic somehow.
Oh, brilliant. So your look, how see when you started taking over from John Inman, I'm guessing it was very much the John Inman look. So how did you develop that?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, he's got the wig
What
out.
on
He's got
about?
the wig.
There we go.
Wow.
Well, that's that one there. Look, John. That's John's Bet Lynch.
That's an actual John.
Yes, I mean,
Inman
I
wig.
was. Yes, I wear it. Yeah, I've got all his costumes and wigs.
Wow.
Really?
In my garage. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and they've served me well. I've worn a lot of them, but they are getting very frail now. So obviously I inherited John's look because I've got his frocks. But then slowly I've been adding and getting Betty Avery at Charades, making me new stuff.
Yeah, Betty.
So I've got very little of John's I wear now. And as I say, it's quite frail. And also because I've been at Crew for the last 5 years, they've seen everything. So now I just go over to you, Kudos. Thank you very much. What you're sending me, which is rather nice. So I just have to mess around with shoes and wigs and stuff. But anyway, the look, yes, mumsy, all that. But it's nice to have a bit of glamour, not drag, but a little bit of glamour. It's like Widow Twankey, come Act 2 and she's rich. You can go to town, can't you? Oh. That's why I like doing Aladdin, because you get the money early, not poor all the way through it. And it is, and as Simon says, it's the shapes, the different shapes, curvy and stuff, but good fun.
Speaking of costumes, have everybody got a favourite costume that they've had?
I've got two really.
I'll get one off the wall.
Mine is one which was made by Theatre Royal staff, Karen and Anne and Becky. It's kind of like a fat suit, which is big boobs, a massive waist, which is all kind of foam. And I do it like a Baywatch, and I run down the centre aisle. But the other one is Giles. Giles, can't remember his surname. Giles Bishop, who is good. Who's got detail beyond detail, and that's the Mrs. Smee, my Mrs. Smee, which is kind of like boobs, a small waist, and then he's got a bell hoop skirt, which you can swish and you can walk, which adds to the comedy. So Giles Edwin Bishop, that's his name.
Speaking of him, he sent his wishes. He said, apparently you're a brilliant costume muse.
No, honestly, he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. Giles, you'll bore everybody to tears. You know you will. But his passion, he's got passion for it, and he wants everything to glitter on stage, and you can't take it away from him. Giles.
You've brought visual aids, Malcolm. Let's see what the visual aids are.
Oh no, this is a bit of glam. This is John's one of his many walk downs. So this is one of my favourite. I don't know whether you can see that. That's me. Yeah. It's just stunning.
Wow. Look at that headdress. Look at that. Oh wow.
I know. All in my garage.
Do you need a lodger?
And how much does that weigh?
It's not too bad, actually. Not too bad. I always end up with 3 inches short. I don't know about the others. I always end up 3 inches shorter by the end of panto because your neck's gone like this and all that. But that's. I mean, I used to go from song sheet to that in about 30 seconds. It's very quick.
So you used to do the song sheet?
Well, I did it then when John was off. So song sheet and then finale.
Can I just ask?
Yes.
Sorry, Rob.
No, go ahead.
How many costumes, regarding quick change? Because sometimes they are, you walk off, poof, you walk back on. How many costumes have you worn at once just to get that poof for the audience?
Oh, crikey, yeah. I probably had 3 on.
Yeah. I've had about 3 or 4. And sometimes
with
they
the
say, like,
all
how have you
underdressed.
done that? And you're like, you just walk off and you go,
Yeah,
strip me.
rip it.
Yeah.
Morgan's
Oh,
shaking his head.
I just write the scene longer, and then
That's what I don't when I write it. I say, costume, just to put them at the test.
Yes.
I've also learned that I'll never be ready for beginners. So
So don't. I'm not going on first.
delay. That's
You learn,
beginners.
when you write it,
Face
you
goes
learn
on.
that, don't you? You learn that. Yeah. No, I agree.
Had a few disasters over the years. A couple of years ago, back in Crewe, I was doing a strip routine, which is the usual thing. You strip all the top off, and then you unwind the washing line. And the way I do it, the strip music sort of stops, and I've got the washing line, and boom, there's a break, and I say something, chuck it off, and then I've got like 4 pairs of knickers to then Velcro off, or with different things on the bum. And I was unwinding the washing line, and I suddenly thought, I've got nothing on underneath. I have no knickers on. The dresser, we would this, and we completely forgot to put the comedy knickers on. So all I'd got was a thong with a heart on the front. So, and I sort of unwound the thing, and I'm trying to catch the MD's eye to say, don't leave it there. Don't play any more music. Nick Thomas, Michael Harrison watching that performance. But of course, MD didn't look up and went, da, da, da. And so I had to then spend 45 seconds just skipping around with nothing to take off. It was, she's still my dresser.
It's about when you get chatting. Yeah. When you get chatting, it's a nightmare, isn't it?
I know.
We had, I had a Swiss Army knife outfit, which had sort of the corkscrew and sort of plait wig, and we'd just been chatting in the quick change booth, and I walked on stage, and everyone came off after the scene, was like, "What? Were you trying to be funny or something?" It's like, "What?" And I'd gone on with a mushroom on my head instead.
It's the wrong wig.
Really bizarre kind of juxtaposition of vegetable and food.
We've got a comment here from John, who is saying, my first pantomime I did was with Malcolm.
John, I'm just looking at his name, John something. He will know about the orange because he was one of the Boy Scouts.
Brilliant. Morgan, we haven't asked about your favourite costume, or
it's always the one that's surprisingly light for me, like the one that you put it on and you go, "Oh, actually,
that's nice." Yeah,
just
a little house coat.
Yeah, I love a sort of a constructional outfit, and Emma, who was head of wardrobe for FFE, does a lot of work with us now, and her stuff and the makers she uses are stunning. And I mean, she ups the bar. So we had a greenhouse dress, and she made sure that the hose squirted water and all of that kind of stuff. So they're just fun to work in. I love most of the things I get to wear.
Brilliant. I think, actually, question before we do a game: what's the quickest change you've had to do?
Oh.
What's the quickest change you've had to do?
I think for me, it's Jack out of the slosh and into selling the cow, which is about sort of 20 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
actually,
done
no, there's nothing.
Mine was, I think, Dick Whittington getting out of a shipwreck costume into a harem girl in about 30 seconds. That was. I didn't always make it.
Mine's from an opener. Like the last about 4 bars before the finish, you walk off. You stand in, you strip, somebody puts a heart skirt on you, blah, blah, and then you walk on for the bad. So, yeah, 4 bars.
I made a big mistake once that we were supposed to do a musical number of It's Raining Men, and then I had to come back on at the end in a flying harness dressed as a rocket man kind of thing. And it took us like 4 days to make the change. It was hell. Never
That's
flying again.
You've got to get it right, haven't you? So yeah, rather you than me.
And what's the most costumes we've had in one show?
I think I did. I can't remember if it was 14 or 15, which is ridiculous.
I was 15 in Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Which adds to the character. So.
Sorry, Morgan.
I stick at 9 every show, 9, because otherwise no money.
Well, you write it, so you're all right.
Yeah. I don't saddle myself with the bill. That's true.
It's when they write it and you go off and you come back on, walk across the stage, say one line and go off, and you go, what is the point of that? That's what complete waste of a costume. What?
No, but you learn that because the first one I wrote, I was like that, and then halfway through there, I was thinking, why have I done this?
Yes,
Why?
it's not worth coming on.
The following year, I had about 8 costumes. That's
Yeah.
not 8, but I had about 8 costumes. So, yeah, you learn as you go.
You stay on, make them come off, and then you.
Yes. You're in this chase. You've just got to run across the stage. What?
Yeah, somebody else can do that.
It's strobe lighting. You go, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to play a game now. This is called Don't Hesitate. And for those who have never seen us or brand new to this, this is basically where we give our lovely guests a topic at random, and they have 60 seconds to talk about it. If they hesitate in any way, shape, or form, it is that, and I must admit, hesitations are classified as a pause, an
Oh, I'm all the time.
Well, you say that, you'd be surprised how good people are. You'll be also surprised how you think the good people are going to be good, but they're not. So, with that being said, let's see who's going to be first. This is totally done at random. Morgan!
Oh, you wind-up merchants. Go on, then.
Are we getting the same subject?
Or are you going to get a completely different one? So, Morgan, your subject is toothpaste.
Do I go? Oh, okay. So toothpaste.
2 seconds. 2 seconds. I've got to get the timer. Where's the timer? How do you feel about that, first of all?
I mean, underqualified is an understatement.
Brilliant. Okay, that's brilliant. Right. Okay, Morgan, this is you talking about toothpaste. You've got 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Currently, I'm working out how I would be able to dress as a giant tube of toothpaste for our next panto, because it's one of the random costumes that I haven't yet had a go at. I do think the 3-coloured thing is an attractive combination.
You said. You got 15 seconds.
Did I say Did I say Sorry.
You got 15 seconds.
Oh, useless.
You got 15 seconds, which, to be fair, is better than me. I got 13 seconds talking about mushrooms. Didn't exactly go down well. So that's
what are you talking about mushrooms for?
I don't know.
He's a fun guy.
Hey, that was a good one.
I'm sorry.
Okie dokie. That was good. I'll give you credit for that. It doesn't change your score, but I'll give you that. Okay. So, Sai, you're next.
Be kind.
Sai, your chosen subject is tourism.
I live in St. Helens. There's no tourism at all. Right, I'll try.
So how do you feel about that, first of all?
I can't swear right now, can I?
No. Well, Sai, tourism, 60 seconds. Your time starts now.
Tourism is a thing regarding where you live. But when I was a kid, I wanted to do travel and tourism. Travel and tourism to me was an easy subject. You didn't have to pass many GCSEs at all. And do you want the bad news? I'm worse than everybody else.
You've got 14.55 seconds.
Have I beat anybody else in the past?
Me.
Oh, well, there you go. Whoop, whoop. I've never done that before in my life, but there you go.
You've also beat Danny Rogers, who got 4 seconds. As in the son of Ted Rogers.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Okay, then. So, but you did better than me, 14 seconds, but you didn't do as well as 15 seconds. But Malcolm.
Well,
right. This will be like 3 seconds, just like my love life. Get ready.
I don't know if that's heartbreaking or. But your chosen subject is windows. How do you feel about that?
Windows are marvellous things. I've just had mine painted, actually. They were brown, but now they're a lovely cream shade. Because without windows, you'd be sitting in a darkened room, no light, nothing. And it's no scenery. It's lovely to look out at the sky through the windows. They stop the wind coming in. They stop the rain coming in. And if you have a room that's all windows, that would be a greenhouse. Now, my greenhouse is absolutely marvellous because it's full of plants. Green things with leaves and flowers and seeds, and I have to water them. And so I wash the windows at the same time. And I'm sure I'm hesitating like mad, but I'm being punished here to make talking about windows forever. And no one's stopping me. So here we go, windows and skylights. You get French windows, dormer windows, broken windows. Now, if you've ever had...
You said but I'm going to say... 50 seconds.
The master.
50 seconds.
Look at
I think that is one of the best scores we've had. That isn't a 60 seconds.
My mother always
that
told me
is
true professional.
Well,
that was 50 seconds.
It's when you've done all those tacky pantos and you have to keep going. What am I going to say?
The warm down set's not ready yet.
Yes, keep going. I did that once. This is another little story. Doing Jack and the Beanstalk, we had this cooking scene and we were singing Home Cooking or something. Home Cooking. Dreadful, dreadful number. The audience never clapped. And we finished to no applause. And then suddenly the people in the wings are going, more, more. I'm going, what? They go, more. Jack's just passed out. So we said, oh, what's that? I think we'll sing that again. And we did the whole number again, and they still didn't clap.
I just when you were doing your thing, Malcolm, I had a look at your little wall, and I've just spotted Shane Ritchie on the wall. So just, before we sort of wrap things up, let's talk about the people that we've been in Panto with. Malcolm, we'll start with you because you've probably got a long list.
Well, I'm just looking at the wall. Anita Dobson. Anita's lovely. No, I can't. I haven't got time to tell another story, have I?
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? I'll make it quick. Anita was playing Wicked Queen, and I'd been sent this lovely floral arrangement into Flora, and this box was sitting in my room, and I kept thinking, I must get rid of that box. And the dwarves were always coming in my room and grabbing in that, and I thought, you could get a dwarf in that box. So we took the box down, put it outside Anita's dressing room. Jamie, the dwarf, got in it. We fastened it all up, knocked her dressing room door and ran off. And she shouts, come in. And we're thinking, oh, that didn't work. So knocked again, come in. And I said, leave it. She's in a bad mood. And in there, it was like, come in. And she flung the door open. Stage doorkeeper went with her. And he said, oh, look, this has come for you, Anita. And I'm thinking, Jamie, pop up now. Pop up out the box and go boo. No, he didn't. So they dragged this box into the dressing room. And then instead of just popping up going, ooh, he came out and went, where? And there was this blood-curdling scream. And I'm sure at the Ipswich Regent, there's still an imprint of Anita on the wall. And she just ignored it. She went back to her dressing table like this. And of course, Jamie's in this box. And in the end, he said, Anita, can you help me out? And she just pushed the box over and he crawled out. Bless her. But she's lovely, lovely Anita. Anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore.
No, I love it.
I love it. Love it.
So we've had Anita Dobson. Morgan, didn't you do Panto with Duncan James?
Yes, yeah. So we've always kind of done, I suppose, more rep style Panto. And then when we took on Derby Arena, that's been our kind of first foray into the more sort of celeb-based Panto. And so far, touch wood, we've been really lucky. We've had gorgeous people every year. We had Gwen Taylor, Mr. Bloom, then lovely Duncan, and Bill Ward and Katrina from CBBS last year. So it's I love the performers who are from a theatre background and are kind of really generous in that, and they kind of go, we get this, we have profile, but we've come at it from being performers and actors, and actually we're here because we love doing what we do. Yeah.
And Si, what about you?
There's a few that kind of like stick in the mind that like I'd stay clear of them, but Linda Nolan.
All the
all
Nolans.
Oh, I was a Nolan for every night of that show. In the finale, dancing to that song. But she's a stickler because she knows her craft. And as long as you know your craft, she's fine. And that's where I kind of like go, tip my hat to her. But there's Lucy Jo Hudson from Coronation Street and Wild at Heart. But out of anybody who I've made friends with, long-lasting friends, is Nick Cochran, Andy McDonald from Coronation Street, and he is he knows his business, he knows how it works, and he has the audience in his palm of his hand, and that's where I've learned a lot from him. So yeah, there's quite a few that you can name, but I don't want to single anybody out. Does that sound? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. My final question. I'm going to start with Morgan on this one. Why is regional theatre important? Why is local theatre important? Morgan, I think especially for you because you produce how many productions? Is it 6 you're involved with?
6, but 3 we produce as Little Wolf, and then 6 kind of across the season that I've been working on. I think it's just the ecology of theatre, really, isn't it? In every possible way, that if you take out that whole strata of kind of work, then the whole thing collapses because people aren't falling in love with theatre as kids, going to see the shows that we're all kind of collectively making and caring about each Christmas. And the West End, I know to a lot of people it is the pinnacle, and that's certainly where a lot of the money is based. But in terms of kind of real lifeblood of theatre and the training and the opportunity it gives people, I think without those theatres, then we're in a really, really parlous state as a nation. That's our culture to me, and it celebrates. I suppose what Panto does differently to most theatre is that it's local, and it has to be local, and it has to be topical. Yeah. And our audiences know if we're just doing insert local joke, or if we actually know that place and we know that community, and we write it and design it and play it with them in mind. And if we lose that connection, then it's just people shouting in the dark, isn't
it? Yeah. Malcolm, I'll come to you next. Why do you think local theatre is important?
Well, as Morgan says, it doesn't stop in London and big cities, and we've got a fairly new theatre here in Shrewsbury. We had a very small place, and it's packed out. It really is, and the Panto I think runs for about 7 weeks now, and it's vital. It's vital because not everybody has an opportunity to go off to London or a big city. I also find, because I've moved into quite a rural area, that if there isn't much local theatre, that the amateurs take over. There's lots of good amateur theatre in this area as well. So if it's not there, people will make it. There is a need and a desire for it, and people will make their own if we don't come and do it.
Yeah. And Si, because you perform quite a lot in your local.
Yeah, I mean, I started off in amateur Amdram with Pilkingtons when I was about 14. I'm now 45, and I'm now chairman of that society. I'm now director. I direct. I also appear in them, which is kind of like free. But for me, support your local theatre. Everybody says pantomime pays for the local theatre to go throughout the year. Yeah. That's the case, but keep the arts alive in your area. With this COVID, etc., it's going to die out. It is. People are going to prefer Netflix or Amazon Prime and Disney Plus. You need to get out there and support them, because without your support, without your paying the tickets and going out your way to, you just need to support it, because our local theatre is all about, we get music tributes every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Theatre isn't just about watching ABBA or watching somebody do Kylie Minogue. It's about, come and watch a play. Come and watch somebody who works at the local Theatre Royal or works at the local council. Come and watch your play. That will keep your theatre going.
And fingers crossed that we do. Before we say our final farewells, we've got 6 more episodes of Rambles to come up till the end of September. We are going to continue definitely telling more stories. So I've got a little surprise for you next week. But before we get on to those episodes, a big thank you once again to Malcolm, to Sai, and to Morgan for sharing their stories today. I will see you next week. Until then, take care and goodbye for watching. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.